Today it is my privilege to introduce you our guest speaker. Stephen S. Trott is a senior circuit judge for the United States Courts of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, which he served on since 1988. After graduating from Harvard Law School, Judge Trott began his law career at the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office and was named chief of the unit in 1975. In 1981, President Ronald Reagan nominated him to be U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, and in 1983, Judge Trott joined the U.S. Department of Justice Criminal Division as an Assistant Attorney General. For nearly 30 years, Judge Trott has been a frequent guest at Professor Dershowitz's Harvard classes, giving lectures and providing invaluable insights into the legal system. Please join me in welcoming our honors guest, Judge Stephen S. Trott, to the podium.
President Henberg, faculty, staff, administration, family, friends, and guests in the class of 2013, congratulations. I must tell you that following your speaker, Eulalia, is a very daunting task. You have chosen a wonderful speaker to commemorate this afternoon. The theme of my talk today is, can you keep it? And the answer is, yes, you can. When Benjamin Franklin walked out of Independence Hall in Philadelphia in 1787, a woman walked up to him and asked him a question. She said, "Doctor, what do we get, a republic or a monarchy?" And Ben Franklin looked back at her and said, "A republic, if you can keep it. If you can keep it." That was a very prescient observation. Franklin was right. Our Constitution and our republic has been a wonderful gift. In fact, an inspiration to the world for the last 225 years. A gift that keeps on giving. The gift of the rule of law, of due process, of self-government. The gift of one nation under God, undivided, with liberty and justice for all. That's a wonderful gift. But along with this great gift comes a challenging responsibility. A challenging responsibility and a duty, and that is for us to see if we can live up to what Benjamin Franklin's answer was, can we keep it? Because our way of life, the aspirations, the dreams, the values, the principles for which we stand, which are enshrined in our Constitution and especially our Bill of Rights, are not self-executing. We have been challenged from the very first day by adversaries around the world, and sometimes even internally, to see whether we are capable of keeping the gift that we were given by our ancestors, this amazing legacy. Probably the first challenge started in the middle of the 19th century with our Civil War. President Lincoln fought a bitter, a bloody, and a protracted 4-year civil war on American soil during which 623,000 Americans perished. Just think about that for a second. 623,000 Americans perished. And when I finally found out that this was the figure of people who had died in that Civil War, I asked why? Why did Lincoln, our president, our revered and our most celebrated president, pursue a bloody war like that where so many American citizens lost their lives? And finally I woke up one day and realized the answer had been right in front of me all along in something that I had memorized in high school when I was too stupid to know what I was talking about. It's in the famous Gettysburg Address, one of the greatest speeches ever given. You know it, but it's the answer to why we fought our Civil War, why Lincoln pursued that policy. He said 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war to see whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. He ended with these words, "We here highly resolve that these honored dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall enjoy a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth." That was Lincoln's concern, that the gift, the dream of self-rule, that we are capable of deciding what our own laws are and forging our own future, might disappear from the face of the earth. You know, when our Constitution was first written in 1787 and 1788, the ideas on which it was based and the principles in it today and the Bill of Rights first appeared in their embryonic forms in the Greek city-states a couple thousand years ago and in the Roman Empire, only to be quashed and to disappear from the face of the earth. By and large, the great gift that you enjoy as American citizens disappeared from the face of the earth with the downfall of the Roman Empire for 1,700 years. Think on that for a minute. 17 centuries of tyrants, dictators, kings and queens. You weren't citizens, you were subjects. That's what you were, and that's all you were. And then in 1776, and later with our Constitution, 55 men went to Philadelphia, and they came out with a Constitution that tried to recapture these ideas that are built around the concept that each and every one of us has human rights, dignity, and is entitled to the opportunities of the great society in which we live. The Civil War. Well, if we thought we would have a little respite after the Civil War, we really didn't, because after the turn of the century, we thundered right into World War I. Remember that? The war to end all wars, another bloody and bitter war during which many people lost their lives fighting the Central Powers. And again, what was at stake? Freedom versus tyranny. That has constantly been a theme throughout history. The war to end all wars turns out not to have been a war to end all wars. World War I was simply a prelude to World War II. In that war, we fought the Nazis, the fascists, and the Empire. The Holocaust occurred. It was another brutal war ending in nuclear holocaust in Japan. Just about the time we thought we might have that behind us, all of a sudden we found ourselves in the Cold War against the communists in the Soviet Union. Stalin made a piker out of Hitler in terms of the number of people that he slaughtered in his country, all in the name of an ideology. And once again, totalitarian forces throughout the world threatened to extinguish the dream, the American dream. But we somehow prevailed after the Cold War, and we thought, well, here we are. Here we are, we finally made it. Now, what's interesting to me is you track all these terrible wars that we've been in throughout the ages, from the Civil War all the way to World War II and the Cold War, but you look to see what we were doing with our own country at the same time. We were not contracting our ideals of civil rights, of freedom, of self-rule, of the dignity of human beings. Not at all. Starting with the Civil War and the 13th Amendment, we got rid of the awful birth defect we had of slavery. The 14th Amendment, through the Due Process Clause and the Equal Protection Clause, extended the rights in the Bill of Rights to everybody in all the states. The 15th Amendment broke down barriers to voting to people of color. And then as we begin to progress along also, we finally destroyed the ridiculous barriers against women with our 19th Amendment in 1920. And things kept developing. Brown versus Board of Education eliminated the crazy idea that separate could be equal. Then we passed the Civil Rights Act, the Americans Disability Act, the Age Discrimination Act. And at every stage, while we've been fighting adversaries on the side, we have been strengthening our resolve to make sure that the rights in this small book are continued to be enjoyed by everybody. Why? Because as we have seen the injustices wrought upon the world and us as human beings by totalitarian forces, we have understood year after year, battle after battle, fight after fight, of the importance of all of these rights. all of these rights. It's been a remarkable trip. So here you are, and we once again face another threat. Historians are already calling it the Age of Terror. We face a threat from a jihad, a holy war, by radical Islamist fundamental terrorists who fight us primarily because they do not believe in anything in our Bill of Rights or our Constitution. They reject the idea of freedom of religion. They reject the idea of free speech. They reject the idea of self-rule and self-government. And this is another battle in which we now find ourselves, and it's just as difficult a battle as the ones we've fought in the past. For those of us who thought maybe in Idaho we could escape this, the other day we wake up to headlines, and apparently somebody's been arrested on Curtis Street right in the middle of town and charged with being involved in bomb-making and terrorist plots throughout the world. So here we are right now. And so we go back to Benjamin Franklin's question, if we can keep it. And my answer to you is yes, we can. Because nobody can defeat us, and that is because of who we are and what we stand for, and the resolve that we've simply strengthened over the many years that we've been here as the United States of America. Now, Benjamin Franklin said, if you can keep it. Thomas Jefferson told us how we keep it. Thomas Jefferson believed that the only way we can survive in this difficult world is with education. He believed it was education, knowledge, and skills of the type that you're developing here at the College of Idaho, that these will enable us to go forward and to continue to protect what we stand for. Franklin had an interesting way of putting it, and I quote him, "Enlighten the people generally, and tyranny and oppression of the mind and body will vanish like evil spirits at the dawn of day." This school has done its best to help you gain the knowledge, the skills, and the confidence to go forward in this challenging world, to understand and protect who we are, to pursue and to protect the American dream, and to be a new greatest generation against all the challenges that we face. So on behalf of Professor Dershowitz, who certainly wishes he could have been here today to congratulate all of you, thank you for listening to me, and we wish you Godspeed and all the best.